But they can make the radiant floor heat mats do exactly what we need them to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have a challenge, you give them a ring, and they will take care of you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Cool.
So I've seen a zillion questions go by, more than I can possibly keep up with. So can someone give me a hand here to pick some to answer?
Yeah, somebody asked if you can add it to the laminate floor already built. The answer would be you'd have to get underneath that, right?
You want to pull up your laminate, but you only have to pull up the first layer. As a matter of fact, someone spoke in another article I was reading recently about thermal bridging to things that would pull the heat away. So you want to have some sort of thermal barrier underneath so that you're not losing heat out the bottom of your tiny home. You're directing it up into the home itself.
Yep. Okay.
That kind of a thing. Of course, it's cheaper if you do it at construction time, but it can be refitted at some point. Someone asked about is this electric or hydronic, water-based. This is absolutely electric. Electric is thermodynamically just way more efficient. I mean, even the waste heat is useful heat. It's 15 watts per square feet of electricity in, and it's 15 watts a square feet up, unless it gets out the bottom of the coach. Hydronic is a lot heavier. If you already have a hot water system, it's cheap to put in,
Yeah.
It can't heat it just can't heat as quickly because water only transfers energy well when it changes from water to steam, or from steam back to water.
Okay.
It does not done a lot of energy as it moves a couple 3 degrees.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I like kind of what you're saying is I've felt that so many times when, if you're inside of a normal house with HVAC system and the hot air blasts on, and all of a sudden you start feeling warm and hot and everything like that, but then it shuts off, and moments later the cold, all the objects around you are still cold, and it just makes the entire room cold again. Whereas this basically heats up all the objects from the bottom up. So that way they become hot and warm, and it just kind of naturally radiates throughout the house.
And when I say 15 watts per square feet, in a lot of environments, it's not on 100% of the time. It's only on half the time, 3/4 of the time. It depends. It depends on how cold it is outside and how much heat escapes your tiny home.
Yep. Okay.
But it does help bring everything up to temperature. And because it's heating from the bottom up, the perceived comfort. When people feel uncomfortable, it's because they feel the difference. Okay. And if that hot air is circulating and it's up around their head, but their feet are still cold, they feel colder.
Okay. Huh.
The psychological thing, but it's about comfort, and comfort is going to be subjective.
Yeah, it's true. I know my wife likes to be warm inside of our house, so she's constantly trying to crank up that heat.
Well, my wife and I are old enough. We say we're both children of the energy crisis in the early 70s. So we're just used to going grabbing a sweater because we do.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Let's see. Someone asked about gold heat available with propane. You're off grid. We run off of electricity. So if your propane drives 120 volts AC, you're good to go. Some people will ask if we operate off of 12 volts DC, and we do not. We only operate off of 120 or 240.
Okay. Cool. What type of thermostat do you guys have? Do you have your own custom one, or?
No, we thermostats are getting a thermostat certified is a big deal.
Okay.
What we recommend very strongly is people buy thermostats that have floor sensors.
Okay.
We can provide the floor sensors.
Okay.
So using a thermostat and the other convenient thing would be to get a thermostat that switches 120 volts. Most thermostats I did get at your home are 24 volt systems that switch that furnace that's off in your utility closet. So you do need to buy a little bit more of a special one. But we've got a number of thermostat companies that we've located. There's one that we like and it's in our showroom. There's actually a bunch that we like that work really, really well. It's a question and we found ones that are smart to hook up to the Wi-Fi and do all the modern cool kid things. but you do have to be able to switch 120 volts or have a remote unit for that. But most importantly, you do need the ability to take in a floor sensor.
Yeah.
The LVP, LVT manufacturers are really keen on that. They don't want the floor to be over a certain temperature. So having that floor sensor gets them to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So a couple of people asking, if it combines well with a wood burning stove or if it's good for like Alaska winters and that sort of thing. And kind of what I'm picking up is that if you're going to be in a really, really cold place, it would definitely still be a really nice feature to have because it's just going to feel warmer and everything inside of there.
Help a lot. It's going to help a lot.
Yeah. Help kind of just regulate the entire temperature, but it won't necessarily, it can't get clear to that top.
The most important thing is it's heating from the bottom up. That's a big deal. Heating from the bottom up makes things just it's the psychological perception of the comfort is just massive.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Someone's asking about insulation requirements above and below the heating mat. We don't want to insulate a lot above the mat. We don't want to do more than about R1 equivalent above the mat. But underneath, you want to do whatever it can so that the heat is prevented from escaping through the floor.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a little bit of insulation, that will help regulate the temperature, so you won't feel big swings in the temperature between when the system's on and when the system's off. So that's a very, very helpful thing. Again, it's perceived comfort.
Yeah.
There are certain locales that have it's code that your temperature can't swing more than a few degrees.
Okay.
Because people set it for the top temperature, not the bottom temperature.
Yeah.
So having that R1 equivalent helps slow down the temperature change, which is really, really helpful.
Okay. And I see a question here. Do you have to have a professional electrician to install it?
Oh, we always recommend that.
Okay.
Always want to have. You are talking something that's running on 120 volts.
Yeah.
You are talking something that's. If you have a 100 square foot mat, that's 1,500 watts. That's the same as a pretty hefty hairdryer.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that yourself. You want to make sure that when you attach it down, that you don't put a staple through the wire, which obviously we're protected, so it will pop the ground fault interrupter circuit, which is required in most locales.
Okay.
But you don't want to break your mat right off the gate. So have a pro do it. You'll be speaking to it in the end.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Are there, let's see, any other questions? Lindsay asks, are you working with specific builders now, or can you talk with my builder to educate them?
Be delighted to talk with your builder.
Okay.
If you're in the Portland, Oregon area, we've got a team of a tile installer that can do both ceramic tile, if you're interested in that, or LVP, LVT, and we have an electrician that both did our showroom, and they absolutely know what they're doing, and we can teach more. We've taught people that assemble motorhomes, and motorhome folks, they're not electricians first; they do other things first, and they're really good at it. So if we can teach folks who aren't electricians how to make it work, we can teach your electrician and your how to make it work.
Okay.
How do you do it?
Cool. And I would assume that your product would work inside of buses, like schoolies, or pretty much any alternative type. Is that right?
Yeah, you always. It's important to remember that off-grid is going to be tough for us.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Because of the power. How many people want to run a hairdryer in an off-grid environment? That's kind of the way to think about our product. It is that for 100 square feet, which is about right for a tiny home floor area, maybe a little bit less. But if you start thinking in that term, in that light, then you say, "Oh, I can do this," or it's not quite right for me.
Yep. Okay. I see.
Someone asked about wood floors. It depends on the wood. We worked with a couple of different people. There are some woods that will work well, and some woods that will not. And that's not something I want to get into right now. But give us a ring, and we can talk through that. There are challenges with wood, and more importantly, the mounting of the wood. Someone asked about floating floors. A little bit tougher with a floating floor. We have another product that would work better called Black Gold.
Okay.
I see that some members of my team are on here answering questions, which is awesome. They're talking about.
Cool.
Someone was wondering about the EMF radiation, and one of our engineers answered that question, which is awesome. And our email out there is design@goldheat.com for technical support, and we do pre and post sale support. Same people.
Cool.
Same people.
Somebody asked, what's the life cycle of radiant floor heat, and how long does the mat typically last?
The mat will outlive your home.
Okay, that's good to know.
So, what limits the life of our Gold Heat product in RVs is that it's an RV and it's being driven, and it vibrates, and metal, wire, connection, vibrations. That's going to go. But if your tiny home is basically a park home, if you just put it somewhere and that's where it is, then it's just like a house, and it's if it's not moving. So California park homes might be exempt from this. If it's not moving, then it's going to start working. And occasionally something will break, but it's very rare.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Cool. Can you run it under cork flooring?
Haven't tried cork flooring. Would have to check into that. It would be something. It would be something a little bit interesting because cork has it insulates. So you want to keep it down to less than R1.
Okay. Yeah.
So we go. Give us a call, drop us an email, and we can push through that to see how your floor stack up would work.
Yeah.
And again, anytime you design a floor, my goodness, you've got a subfloor, you've got the actual walk on, and everything in between. There's a lot of moving parts to a floor.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of variables there.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's see if there's.
Here's a very, very good one. Someone says, how does the heat affect electronics? Is it hot enough to damage things you're storing on the ground like a laptop? So the single thing that gets us into more trouble than anything else in radiant floor heat is a dog bed.
Okay.
Not making this up. A dog bed gets us. It's the single biggest thing that gets it.
Wow.
It causes it to overheat.
Okay.
So what we do with that is even putting it up on just a little platform. An inch of air underneath it.
Yep.
Makes a lot of problems go in. Most dogs don't care. Oh, great bed.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to put things right on the floor, just remember it is 15 watts per square feet. Now, I don't know about your laptop, but mine, if I run it full tilt, it can't sit on my lap. It will get warm. It's kind of built for that.
Yeah.
But it's something that's just even an inch of gap is going to make all the difference in the world.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure that the dogs like it though.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Do you want heat mass in the room? You want your heat mass in the floor itself. That's what will work the best for you, is to have that heating up and cooling down as you turn on and off the heat. Because a lot of our customers say, yeah, I turn the heat on all the time, it gets too hot. Well, it's the thermostats are for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you put radiant heat in an existing foundation house? Well, it depends on your stack up, but if you pull off that top layer, you can probably do it. So most people, if they're doing a remodel and they want a new floor, also talk to us, because depends on your floor type. A lot of the LVP. So we've seen both LVT, LVP manufacturers. Some support it, some support and still warrant their floors on radiant heat, electric radiant heat, and some don't. So read the label.
Fine print.
Read the label, fine print.
Okay. Somebody was asking, if it goes under the subfloor, but it goes above the subfloor.
It was above the subfloor.
Right. Okay. You probably go subfloor insulation with a small layer of insulation, and then the radiant heat, and then the normal flooring, something along those lines. So,
and some people put some insulation above it just to help. I mean, thermal mass is not required, but if you're going to put it in there, that's where you would put it.
Okay.
I have a little Windows act that says my time is up in less than 5 minutes. So, someone's asking about humidity. We don't do anything for humidity. We can't help you there. What we will do is drive moisture out of the nooks and crannies, if that's helpful to you. So if you're in an environment where you're worried about being too humid, then we can help. If you need more humidity, then there's other solutions that you can add to our solutions.
Cool. Yeah. All right. What about allergens? I bet there's no allergens in your product.
Zero. As a matter of fact, so unlike an HVAC system, we aren't blowing any air around, so there's no allergens getting blown around. There's nothing to kick up dust. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that are sensitive prefer radiant heat because all of those issues flat out go away. Yeah.
That's really nice, and you don't have to keep dusting everything all the time. So
That's right. Have you cleaned your furnace filter? My wife is very diligent in our house. We clean the furnace filter. Replace it every 3 months. And we're in Oregon, and we had those nasty fires.
Yeah.
We pulled that filter out and went, make it go away. Need a fresh one, please.
Yep. Yeah, and we even have a little fireplace in our house, and when our HVAC kicks on, it sucks air through that. Even if we close the flue, there's still small cracks that it kind of comes through, which brings that little bit of ash and everything back in the house, which is not fun. But
and so we have zero air motion with this.
Yeah, which is great. Cool. I guess we're coming down to the last couple of questions here. Somebody was asking if it works with rugs. Since it doesn't work with dog beds, does it still work with rugs?
If it's a thin rug, if it's a really thick shag, I would recommend against. If it's a fairly thin rug, again, it's going to be R1 or less is what we normally ask for.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's see if there's any more questions. Yeah, it looks like somebody will call about the cork floor and maybe go for it.
Yeah, I've got at least 3 of the Gold Heat team answering questions as well.
Cool. Yeah.
And because they're not on camera, they can give a few more detailed questions than answers to the questions than I can. So I hit the high points and they're filling in the details, which is awesome.
Yeah.
One of our engineers said we had one installation under leather tile. So go figure.
It was under what type of tile?
Leather.
Wow.
Okay.
Sounds about right. It's crazy. Yeah, there'd be a lot of crazy types of tile.
Yeah. Anyways, well, Zach, delighted to be invited to this presentation. It's a fantastic time. Love talking about our stuff. We have a passion for getting this right. It's just so much fun, and we hear all the time. It's like once you go to radiant floor heat, you do not go back. In the RV business, once a coach owner buys a coach with radiant floor heat, then they trade up every few years. Once they get it, they don't undo it in the future.